What's happening, everybody? Happy NFL kickoff. We officially made it. Who's ready for Chiefs-Ravens? I know I am. I'm sure there's plenty of fantasy implications for a lot of people this evening, whether it's your matchup or a marquee matchup in your league. Regardless, whatever the stakes are, whatever the situation is for you, your league mates, football's back. And it's a night to celebrate that, to enjoy that, to appreciate that. Welcome to another episode of Phase Mass Fantasy. Thank you for coming and hanging out this evening for however much time you choose to spend as we get ready for the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs coming up about 8:15, 8:20 Eastern time. Just a couple hours from now, about 2 hours and 15 minutes or so left until kickoff to the 2024 season. We made it. Pour yourself a drink. It's time to celebrate. We'll quickly go over start-sit questions as it pertains tonight to the game, as well as the Friday night game between the Packers and the Eagles. I will help out with start-sit questions as it pertains to those players in those games. The Sunday start-sit questions will wait until the weekend. Again, we have to get through full practice reports and injury reports. I'm sure I will be repeating myself throughout the stream on that as folks kind of move in and out. I will share reminders of that throughout the stream. So if you have a start-sit question that pertains to Sunday or maybe the Monday night game between the 49ers and the Jets, we just need to let the week play out. We have a full Friday slate of practices to get through tomorrow before we may start to develop any decisions to be made as it pertains to Sunday. Generally speaking, there aren't too many, from what I can tell, major lineup question marks this weekend. And with so little to go off of for week one, just start the guys that you drafted for the most part with your first 7, 8, 9 picks. If you're between a start-sit decision between your 8th round pick and your 9th round pick, start the guy you drafted in the 8th round. We can't look at matchups yet and just say, oh, wow, that's an incredible matchup. I have no choice but to start this other guy. We don't know if it's an incredible matchup yet. It might be on paper as it pertains to 2023 data, but that's old news. There's only so much we can go off of there. So, for week one, at the very least, start the dudes that you drafted as your foundation. Clearly the guys that you drafted with your first 5, 6, 7 picks. And the rest gets sorted out kind of as the season goes along. So that's the general thought process for start-sit in general. I will help with questions that pertain to players in tonight's game or the Friday game between the Packers and the Eagles. I just ask that we hold all other start-sit questions until the weekend when we have all available information to us. For this game this evening, you're probably just starting every single player that you drafted with a top 60 pick in your draft. You're starting Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, obviously in Superflex and obviously in one quarterback, regardless of format. Both of those guys are in your lineup. Travis Kelce's in your lineup. Mark Andrews is in your lineup. Isaiah Pacheco is in your lineup. Derrick Henry's in your lineup. Rashee Rice is in your lineup. Zay Flowers is in your lineup. After that, depending on the depth, the size of your league, maybe a Xavier Worthy is in play. But beyond that, everybody else probably stays on your bench. It's pretty straightforward as it pertains to the frontline players in this game. Now, you could be between Zay Flowers and, another decent wide receiver 3 option. But you probably spent a top 50, maybe a top 60 pick on Zay Flowers this year in your draft. So you might as well start him in a game where you expect a good game script for the Ravens passing game. right? The Chiefs are favored. It's a small they're slight favorites. 3-point favorites over the Ravens. But that still dictates that the Ravens are going to have to, keep pace as underdogs on the road, which means they got to throw the ball. So you're in all likelihood, you're looking to start Zay Flowers. And then the other guys are in this matchup. You're probably not going to be able to pull them out of your lineup for anybody else as far as other options on your bench. And then quickly with Packers-Eagles, because I won't be live tomorrow. I will be live Saturday and Sunday, but I won't be live ahead of the Friday game. I mean, it's much the same tune. You're definitely starting Jalen Hurts at quarterback. You're probably starting Jordan Love. There might be a weird scenario where you drafted Love and another quarterback in the same tier, and you're between a couple of options. But you're probably going to want to start Love against an Eagles defense that fell apart last year and kind of needs to prove that it's back on track before we, build them back up again. You're starting Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs at running back. You're starting A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on Philly's side. The Packers wide receiver situation is a little bit more fluid. I would imagine you're starting Jaden Reed based on where you drafted him this year. Maybe Christian Watson, but after that, you're probably waiting on Romeo Doubs and Dontavian Wicks. So if you have if your start-sit questions specifically pertain to the Packers wide receivers, I can understand maybe having a little bit of a pause or a little bit of a question mark there about what you do or what direction you go in. So I'm happy to take those tonight. We can sort out your Packers, or your Eagles as well. You could have a couple of middling tight end options. You could have your two middling tight end options could be in the Friday game. Like, do I start Dallas Goedert or Luke Musgrave? I would probably start Goddard. He's a little bit more of a proven commodity. But you might be between Goddard and another, like a David Njoku, or Luke Musgrave and Ty Conklin, or Luke Musgrave and Hunter Henry. So there's a little bit more fluidity with start-sit questions that pertain to the Friday game. So I'm happy to talk shop on those, but the Sunday start-sit questions I am going to punt until the weekend. Either way, football is back. Hope y'all are excited. I'm sure you are if you're in here for 10 seconds, 10 minutes, whatever it is. I know I am. It should be a fun game. There should be some fireworks tonight. You are firing up everybody that you drafted tonight that you spent a top 50 pick on. So let's get it going. Pour yourself a drink and let's enjoy kickoff. What say you? I'll look at a couple of props that I like as well. I have Underdog Fantasy pulled up. Underdog, unfortunately, is not available in every single state, but we can look at some player props tonight. If you want to talk about the spread, I'll be the first person to tell you this might not be the stream for you. This is way more, fantasy and individual player driven as far as the content that you're going to get here. I do like Chiefs -3. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have done well against Lamar Jackson and Coach Harbaugh in their head-to-head matchups over the past 5 or 6 meetings. Yes, Lamar Jackson is very good as an underdog in his career, but Patrick Mahomes is not just any old matchup. This is the best of the best. So, at home, beginning the title defense, I'm inclined to take the Chiefs -3. I won't get too more in the weeds on that. There are other sources of information for that are a little bit better, but I am happy to take a look at player props, again, on Underdog that I have pulled up, and I will highlight a couple that I like for this evening. Other than that, happy to take general questions. Any general AMA, whether it's for the game or for the season in general, that are not start-sit questions. Members will get first priority. If I see members jump in here, that is a perk of being a member. You will get your question or comment responded to in a much more prompt manner, and you will get an actual shout-out. So you'll know that I'm actually referring to you. Whereas the general public, I may be less inclined to do so. Members will also have access this year to the Start Sit streams on Saturday and Sunday for 99 cents a month. The practice squad level membership for the entire season. You will get access to my Start Sit analysis and responses specifically as it pertains to your question. If you are between two guys in the Sunday slate, you will get my authentic, as best thought out answer to your question that I can give. These are the Saturday and Sunday streams only. They will be member only this year to help kind of declutter the comment section, which can often get convoluted and a little muddy when I kind of go out of turn and respond to the members first and then try to find my place back in line, so to speak, and kind of jumping all over the place. It can get confusing, so we're avoiding that this year. For this evening, if you play Underdog Fantasy, if you like to utilize player props, you may be interested in player props if you play fantasy. You're already essentially banking on some form of player prop. If you do, you want you want those guys to perform. You want something to happen in the stat department. That's why you're starting them. So you may be interested in individual player props as well. Right now, if you haven't used it yet, it's been available for some time. It's expiring here in a couple of hours. There is a Travis Kelce freebie on Underdog Fantasy. They're not even paying for me to promote this stuff for them. Maybe someday, but they aren't now. But there is a freebie for Travis Kelce to just go over 1 yard. All he needs is 1 yard, and that is one win. You can pair that with something else on Underdog Fantasy and enjoy that sweat throughout the evening, depending on what the other option is to you that you choose to go with to pair with Travis Kelce. So we can get into that stuff. So we'll get into a couple of those. I see a question in the chat. Is Burrow and Higgins an acceptable stack? Yeah, of course. Is this just in general, like for the season? I mean, yeah, it's acceptable. I have there is a little bit of a concern about T. Higgins and his situation with his contract. He's playing on the franchise tag. The Bengals did not extend him. They didn't extend the contract between the player and the team. So Higgins will play out the year on the franchise tag, something that he doesn't want, something that most players don't want. They want that long-term stability, and T. Higgins does not have that right now. So I'd be a little concerned if Higgins, on one hand, Higgins is motivated to go out there, ball out, and prove that he's worthy and deserving of a big payday. That's the one factor with T. Higgins. The other thing is, the other element here is if he picks up like any minor injury, he may look to shut it down to stay healthy, to keep that negotiation window for himself open for as long as possible to secure the big payday, because health above all else is what is most important. So there is a little bit of volatility with T. Higgins playing on the franchise tag. Does he, if it's late in the season and he's nursing a couple of minor injuries, does he mail it in a week or two to make sure that he stays 100% healthy ahead of his payday? So that's the one concern. There's no way to know if that's going to actually come to fruition or if that's going to actually happen. Burrow is healthy now, and that's what matters most, because he hasn't been healthy going into pretty much any of the past 3 or 4 seasons. So, yeah, it's viable. Burrow's as affordable as he's been in years. Same can be said for T. Higgins. It's worth the gamble. Just know that, yes, there are inherent risks, specifically with T. Higgins and him having to play out the year on the franchise tag. All right, some of the props that I like for this evening. And again, for anybody who's just joining, welcome. Appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out for this evening ahead of kickoff. Start-sit questions for Sunday will generally be held until the weekend when we have all available information, which includes practice reports from tomorrow, from Friday. Generally speaking, though, my advice is going to be start the guy that you drafted higher. Like if you drafted a guy in round 5 or round 6, start that guy over the guy that you drafted in round 9 or 10. But I will take start-sit questions as it pertains to tonight's game or Friday's game between the Packers and the Eagles. Because I will not be live tomorrow. But I will be live Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern for start-sit help. And then Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern, also start-sit help. You have to pick between Henry and Pacheco? You can't play both? That's my answer to the question is a question. If you have I don't know, who else do you have? Taylor, Saquon, Gibbs? Like, are you just loaded at running back? You can't play both of these guys? Because I want to play both. I want to play Derrick Henry and I want to play Isaiah Pacheco. If I can only play one, I guess I'll play Pacheco because he's at home. But I want to play Derrick Henry as well. Because I think, again, so like that kind of leads me into one of the props that I like for this evening. I like both of the running backs to score a touchdown. I think Isaiah Pacheco, to that point, I think Isaiah Pacheco gets in the end zone tonight, and I think Derrick Henry gets into the end zone tonight. My reason for that is simple. For both, really. We'll start with the Chiefs. With Pacheco, he ended the season last year. There's only so much that we can go off of, but any type of momentum from the previous season is one of the few things that we can go off of going into week 1. It's out the door after that, but for week 1, it's one of the few things that we could potentially even look at to rely on for decision making. It's DFS. Got you. They're probably very similar costs, especially if Henry is a little bit more expensive. I would prefer Pacheco because he's at home. I think Pacheco gets a touchdown. He scored, 7 of the Chiefs' final 8 games of the season, including the playoffs last year. He scored a touchdown. He had one score in nearly every game that the Chiefs ended the season with last year. I think he rides that momentum into tonight's game and gets in the end zone, keeps that streak going with no Clyde Edwards-Helaire, right? No Jerick McKinnon. Samaje Perine is the new Jerick McKinnon. He just got there earlier this week after roster cuts. So, he's brand new. They have Carson Steele, who is everybody's, one of the most, he's a little bit more interesting as far as kind of that flying under the radar, who is this guy type of name, but he's listed as a fullback. It's his first NFL game. I don't think we can expect all that much from Carson Steele, despite what looked, a promising showing in the preseason. This is going to be the Pacheco show tonight. I think he's going to get all of the opportunities. The Chiefs, sometimes they give the pass-catching work to Jerick McKinnon. They had mixed in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They sprinkle him in here and there. McKinnon is gone. Clyde is on the PUP list, and Samaje Perine is Jerick McKinnon's replacement, who just got there last week, if not more recent than that. So I think this is a Pacheco night. I will say, though, I think this is a Derrick Henry night as well. Yes, I've seen the concerns. I hear the concerns. The Ravens are breaking in 3 new offensive linemen this year. That first game together on the road in a raucous environment is going to be difficult. But this is Derrick Henry that we're talking about. And again, one of the few things that we have to lean on for week 1 when making decisions is what happened last year. Until we are proven otherwise, we can maybe extrapolate a little bit of data, a little bit of information from the previous season to ultimately make a call here and there. Kansas City was not good against the run on defense last year. It happened in the AFC Championship game. The Ravens they did a pretty good job running the ball. It's just they got away from it. They were so ineffective throwing the ball, but they got away from running the ball even though they were having success. Yes, it's a new situation along the offensive line, but I think Derrick Henry is going to get a lot of opportunities again. Let's see if Kansas City shored up their run defense from last year, but it was one of their weaknesses in 2023. Let's see if Baltimore goes back to their bread and butter. They've been the best rushing offense in the NFL since Lamar Jackson took over as the starting quarterback. Now they have Derrick Henry. I think he's going to get the ball 20 times, 22, 23 times, and I think they're going to force the issue a little bit in his debut game as a Raven and try to get him into the end zone. I like both running backs tonight to score a touchdown. And to that point, so I'm going to take this Travis Kelce freebie right here on Underdog Fantasy. That is live for another couple of hours. If this didn't freeze on me, come on. There we go. Where's Derrick Henry? So it's just a rushing touchdown. I can get a little bit better odds if I include a receiving touchdown. I think he's going to get a score tonight. I really do. See, like, these are good odds right here as well for Isaiah Pacheco. I like both. I like both running backs tonight to get a touchdown. I'll take Derrick Henry. Again, I think the Ravens may actually force the issue a little bit to get him in the end zone in his Ravens debut. I think they're going to go out of their way to try to make that happen against one of the weaker run defenses in the NFL last year in Kansas City. Let's see if they shore that up going into this year. But one of the things that we have going into week one as far as making decisions and utilizing data for that is information from the previous season. We can do that for week one. After that, it kind of goes out the window. So I'm going to sprinkle a little $10 bet here. I'm going to use my Travis Kelce freebie. All he needs to get is one total yard. I think he will get that. I would be surprised if he had fewer than half of 1 yard. I don't think that's going to happen. So Underdog, appreciate the freebie. Those are always fun little incentives to get involved and play. I'm going to pair that with a Derrick Henry anytime rushing or receiving touchdown. And let's keep it moving. I like both running backs tonight. I think they're both gonna get into the end zone. I do. This is really moving slow, but I believe I just entered it. Yeah. It'll get sorted out. Okay. Speaking of rushing yards, I do think Lamar Jackson is going to have a nice night tonight. I'm not sure if the Ravens are going to win, but Lamar's going to have to be MVP Lamar Jackson if the Ravens want to have a chance. Lamar's rushing prop as of right now, I believe the last time I saw it was like 47. What is it on Underdog Fantasy? Boy, Underdog is moving a little slow right now. Come on, baby. I just want to see Lamar's prop for rushing yardage. It's around 47. I think he's going to clear that. I think he's going to go, the Ravens are going to have to be to the point of, oh no, Underdog's really struggling. Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and just refresh this. for Lamar's rushing total, yes, it's a lot, right? 47, 48 yards is a lot, even for somebody as excellent as Lamar is as a runner at the quarterback position. But he's gonna have to be MVP Lamar. He's gonna have to perform at an MVP level tonight if the Ravens are gonna have a chance to win this game. I think especially with the Ravens breaking in these new offensive linemen, it's possible that some things break down a little sooner than the Ravens would maybe hope. And what does that mean? Lamar's taking off, right? Using his legs, doing what he does best. Making the most out of a potential broken play. There could be several of those tonight with the Ravens, again, breaking in so many new offensive linemen. All right, I'm looking at these college players. I just want to see NFL. I just want to look at Lamar's rushing prop. All right. Man, Underdog is hurting right now. All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this on the phone. I wanted to be able to show it so that I could so you guys could follow along and visually see what I'm looking at. All right. Well, that doesn't want to work. They took it away. Underdog took it away. That's so weird. All right. 47, 48 yards. I like Lamar Jackson to hit that number tonight. 3 new offensive linemen. It is a little bit more likely on the road that the extra play or two breaks down, and that's when Lamar takes off. He's going to have to be playing at an MVP level performance if he wants to have a chance to beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead, or whatever the name is of the stadium now. Everything's an advertisement. I am sorry that Underdog is struggling so mightily right now. I don't know what the issue is. Frustrating. Well, that's disappointing. I at least wanted to... Man, what is going on, Underdog? Big time struggle. It's trying to load up now. Anyway, so Pacheco to score a touchdown tonight. I like that. Rushing or receiving. Derrick Henry to score a touchdown tonight. Rushing or receiving. I like that. Lamar to hit his rushing yardage prop, which is Underdog took it away. The last time I saw it was around 47 or 48. I like that. Man, Underdog is struggling right now. There we go. There we go. Okay, 268 combined total yards is Lamar's prop. But his passing yardage prop is 217.5. So the line is around actually 51. So the line has climbed up. It's moved up over 50 total yards. A little more dicey, obviously. A slightly higher number that he has to hit. If it was still 47, 48.5, I would feel a little stronger about that. What's going on, Greg? Good to see you, man. 51.5 is a little bit dicier. Again, though, I think Lamar is up to the task and will likely clear that total in a situation where they're going to need him as a runner. Let's see. You have a defense question, Greg. Okay. So for defensive streams this weekend, I prefer Seattle because they also play New England week 2. And yeah, it's on the road, but it's like a 2-for-1 that you can roll the dice on, that you have in your back pocket already going into week 2. So not only are they a good option week 1, they're also a good option next week as well. My stream, my early season, at least for these first couple of weeks, my defense that I have everywhere is Seattle. New head coach Mike McDonald comes over from the Baltimore Ravens as the defensive coordinator. I think Seattle's defense is just straight up going to be better this year. And they open against Bo Nix and the unproven Denver Broncos, mostly unproven at quarterback. And then, yes, it's on the road. They go on the road to play New England, and it's either Jacoby Brissett or Drake May, and a very unproven Patriots offense that is still very much lacking in pass-catching talent. So I'll take Seattle as my defensive stream this week. That's the one I prefer because I have them again in my back pocket next week if I want against New England. So that's where I'm going for defense this week. And what do I think of Xavier Worthy? Xavier Worthy is super interesting. I think he gives them an element of speed that they didn't have last year that indicates what they want to do on offense, which is to go vertical. The Chiefs have had a ton of success since trading Tyreek Hill. They've won 2 Super Bowls. But that doesn't mean that they don't want to open up the offense more than what they've been able to do the past couple of years. Xavier Worthy, and I'm not putting Xavier Worthy in the tier that is Tyreek Hill, not even close. But from a scheme perspective of what they want to do, Xavier Worthy gives them that ability to go vertical once again. I think he's going to be he should develop into a rock-solid deep threat. We're talking about one of the fastest 40 times in history. He's fast as hell. He's got blazing speed. This is what Kansas City wants to do with Patrick Mahomes, is chuck the ball down the field and let their burners run under it and get it between him and Hollywood Brown, who is out tonight, obviously. Could miss a little bit more time to start this season. So Xavier Worthy does figure to get a lot of playing time tonight. His ADP when I last saw was somewhere in the 6th round, maybe 7th, depending on the platform that you play. It is a little rich for a rookie wide receiver, an unproven wide receiver, but this is the best offense in football. It's the best head coach and quarterback in the NFL. And you can say that definitively about Andy Reid now with Bill Belichick having retired. Andy Reid currently is the best head coach in the NFL, and Patrick Mahomes is obviously the best quarterback in the NFL. That duo alone makes this the most lethal offense in the NFL. And, Travis Kelce. Let's not forget about one of the best tight ends of all time. It's a complex offense. It's a sophisticated offense. One that rookies could be slow to get up to speed with. So that'll be the test. That'll be the test for Xavier Worthy. How quickly was he able to get up to speed over the course of the offseason? Pun intended. Up to speed, Xavier Worthy. All right, I'll stop. He's gonna get a lot of run though tonight, especially with Hollywood Brown being out. So curious to see what he does. He's an intriguing flex play in deeper leagues, but you're probably not starting him in 10-team leagues. You might be starting him in 12-team leagues, depending on, if you start 3 receivers and it's full PPR, then there was probably a pretty strong run at wide receiver in your draft. So that would make Xavier Worthy theoretically a startable option tonight in that format, in that scenario. And then he's, in deeper leagues, 14-team leagues or so, he's probably in your lineup there as well. We'll see what happens. All he needs to do is hit on one big play, which is what Kansas City brought him in to do, at least as a rookie, before his expectations grow in the coming seasons. But attached to Patrick Mahomes and getting to learn from Andy Reid, yeah, he should do fine. He should be pretty good. He should be pretty good. Trying to think if there's any other props that I was a fan of tonight. Pacheco to score a touchdown, Henry to get a touchdown, Lamar to clear his rushing prop, which is now up to like 51.5, admittedly. I liked it more at like that 47, 48 number. It's up to 51 now. At least that's what I see on Underdog Fantasy. It's a little bit more, so it's a little dicier, a little bit riskier of a pick, but I think he's up to the task. I think he's up to the challenge. No, I think that's it. I think those are the ones I specifically liked. Zay Flowers is 4.5 receptions is Zay Flowers line. That's not bad, but with a fully healthy Mark Andrews, I'm kind of in wait-and-see mode on that one. Flowers did clear that line in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. He had 5 catches for over 100 yards and a score. So he came through the last time we saw him. But Mark Andrews has had a full offseason to get right from the injury that he suffered last year. I would pump the brakes on that one. He should, as the de facto wide receiver 1, de facto, because obviously Mark Andrews is probably, I guess, should still be the top option in the Ravens passing game. We'll see. We'll see if Flowers usurps him tonight. We'll see if Flowers usurps him tonight. Greg, I would go Seattle. Seattle is my favorite defensive stream this weekend, because then you can also hold out for them for New England in week 2. Do the Ravens win by 2 touchdowns? I don't know about that. I'm not willing to call that shot. I know Lamar does incredibly well in his career as an underdog. His record against the spread as an underdog is really, really good, but this is a different animal. On the road in Arrowhead, this is a different beast. I think the Chiefs defend home field tonight. I do. I think they cover. I think the Chiefs cover. I don't think it's, more than, I don't think they win by more than a touchdown. I think Kansas City is gonna defend home field tonight. They've had Lamar's number. I think they're like 4-1 against him. The Chiefs are. Reed and Mahomes anyway. Obviously, first game of the year, anything can happen. These teams have had a full offseason. It's not just like a week-to-week thing yet. These teams have had a full offseason to prepare for each other. And to that end, week 1 is fluky. Weird things happen in week 1. More so than other weeks throughout the season. Week 1 can and often is the weirdest, right? Just results go in the complete opposite direction that you would expect them to. more often in week 1 than in other weeks. It's just a wonky week. It's a clunky week as we kind of sort things out with a new season underway. Week 1 is the weirdest relative to expectations. So, yeah. Would it be, on paper, would it be unexpected for the Ravens to win by 2 scores? Yeah. In actuality, yeah, sure, weirder things have happened. There's no doubt weirder things have happened. Could they? Yeah, they could. They could do it. I'm not comfortable predicting it, though. Worthy's receiving line is 45.5, so he needs to clear 46 receiving yards to hit. That's not bad. That's slightly enticing, but also in his first career game, I don't know about that. Not sure I would feel comfortable with that one. Mark Andrews, I'm not touching any Mark Andrews props. I'm actually curious to see what the split is between Andrews and Isaiah Likely. I think for the past 2 seasons, it was like, yes, Mark Andrews is definitively the Ravens tight end 1, deservedly so. There's not really room for Isaiah Likely. Now I think it's kind of, at this point, it's a little different. It's like, yes, Mark Andrews is still the Ravens tight end 1. We're still giving him that he has earned that. But Isaiah Likely needs to be and probably will be out there a lot, playing with Mark Andrews, interchanging, mixing in, swapping off snaps, maybe even series or drives with Andrews. I think they get Likely involved from the jump this year as opposed to maybe the past couple of years. So I wouldn't be touching any Mark Andrews lines yeah. But that being said, you drafted him to be your stud tight end 1, so in season-long leagues, you are firing him up definitively. Probably can't start Isaiah Likely yet. Even in deep leagues, we probably need to see and wait and see how that plays out. But man, has he, he's forced his way onto the field. You have to get Isaiah Likely on the field if you're the Baltimore Ravens. With a healthy Mark Andrews, you have to get him out there. Especially given, the next guys up after those 2 plus Zay Flowers are Rashad Bateman, who just hasn't reached expectations yet. I think they signed Nelson Aguilar, so veteran presence. Is he? Or I think I'm remembering. Is he still on? Is he there? Yeah, he's with the Ravens. I mean, oh, he was with them last year as well, so he's back for one more season. So, 35 catches on the year last year. They need to get Isaiah Likely involved from the jump, even with a healthy Mark Andrews. Probably need to wait on starting him, though. We can't possibly fire up Isaiah Likely in even the deepest of formats. It's very much a wait-and-see situation. But Mark Andrews is in. Rashee Rice is in. Derrick Henry, Isaiah Pacheco, all the guys that you spent a top 50 pick on this year are in your starting lineup tonight. For DFS, if you have to pick between Pacheco and Henry, I would take Pacheco. Take the guy at home. I do like Justice Hill as a sneaky guy to get involved for the Ravens, whereas with the Chiefs backfield, it's like, who the hell else do they have left? Clyde Edwards-Helaire is on the PUP list. Jerick McKinnon is gone. They replaced him with Samaje Perine, who just got there. And then you have Carson Steele, who's a rookie, who is interesting, but they have him listed as a fullback. And it's his first career game, so let's maybe pump the brakes on any expectations there. Not that anybody necessarily has them, but with what they have going on in the backfield, it's, I guess, something that could be brought up. I think this is a Pacheco night. I think he's gonna dominate the snaps and the touches for the Chiefs backs. I guess from the perspective, as far as the Ravens and thinking that they're going to win and maybe win big, is they have revenge on their minds. That's always a factor. That's always an element. This is the team that beat them to go to the Super Bowl last year. So they're probably coming into this game pretty pissed off. I'm sure I would if if it were me in this situation. So that's always a factor. Do you catch the Chiefs feeling themselves a little bit, not sleepwalking, but just, yeah. They're feeling good about their situation. It's their night. They're at home. They're celebrating their second straight Super Bowl win. They're going for the three-peat. Everybody's been talking about how great they are forever now. Can the Ravens catch them lacking? Maybe. I just don't know that I would bet against Mahomes. And I know that, it happened last year. The Lions went in there and stole the opening kickoff game from them in their house. The Lions went in there and did that. I don't know if that situation repeats itself tonight. Baltimore's definitely coming in with revenge on their mind. There's no doubt. But Kansas City's also probably thinking to themselves, we played that AFC Championship game on the road last year, but maybe, and we did, and they got it done. They got the win, but maybe that game is in Arrowhead if they get off to a better start to start the season than what they did, and so they could just be more focused than they were last year going into their matchup against Detroit to kick off the season. There's a lot of different variables at play. Ultimately, I would give the slight nod to the Chiefs. I think I would take them -3. So I do think this could be a 27-23, 28-24 type of victory for them as they kick off their efforts to three-peat. That would be what I think happens. But you never know. Week 1 is weird. Week 1 is the oddest of the NFL season. Hands down, without fail, every year. And it starts tonight, so we'll see. So again, you're firing up everybody you spent a top 50 pick on in this game. For tomorrow night's game between the Eagles and the Packers in Brazil, you're firing up all your Eagles. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley. Maybe Dallas Goedert if you punted on tight end. Hopefully you have a better option than that. I don't see any questions about the tight ends in tomorrow night's game, Dallas Goedert, Luke Musgrave. So hopefully nobody has that decision to make. As for the Packers, Jordan Love is probably in your starting lineup in one quarterback leagues. He definitely is in Superflex formats, but he might be a starter for you in one quarterback leagues. It just depends on the direction you went in. Did you draft another quarterback in that same tier? I would be inclined to start Love in a matchup against an Eagles defense that needs to prove that last year, the way they ended last season was a fluke, which that's going to be tough to do considering how bad they were for the amount of time that they were bad, which was like pretty much the last 2 months of the year. So I would take Love. I'm starting Josh Jacobs. I'm probably starting Jaden Reed, and then Christian Watson is in the conversation for a wide receiver 3 or flex spot, depending on your other options. Those are the guys for the Friday night game. For the Sunday slate and for Monday Night Football, I will be available again this weekend, Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern, Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern for Start Sit Help. Those will be member-only chats. So you only have to be on the practice squad level membership to take part in the Saturday and Sunday Start Sit streams for the entire season. You can cancel at any time if you're not happy with the results. And in those streams, I will get to all the Start Sit questions for the Sunday slate, and you will get the most authentic, thought out, with all of the information that we have from practice reports, general vibes, the injury news and designations that we have available to us. You will be getting, based on all of that data and information, the best answer that it can give you as it pertains to your Start Sit question. If your Start Sit questions pertain to just the Thursday night game each week, then you're in good shape. You're golden, because the Tuesday and Thursday streams will still be available to the general public. Saturday, Sunday Start Sit streams this year will be member-only chats to avoid clogging up the chat room with, members asking questions who I prioritize and then trying to find my spot back in line for the general public. It's just going to avoid a whole lot of, confusion, hopefully. I think that about covers everything that I had for the evening. A lot of obvious starts in season-long leagues for tonight's game. Not as obvious tomorrow night, at least on the Packer side. You may be between a few wide receivers. So if you're catching this stream late and you have a question about a start sit as it pertains to the Eagles-Packers game between now and Friday evening ahead of the game, drop a comment. Drop a question in the form of a comment on this stream, and I will make sure to get to it. If you're between Christian Watson or Jaden Reed or maybe even Romeo Doubs and a couple of other receiving options or flex options in general, and I can try to help out with that ahead of kickoff tomorrow night. I don't see any other questions in the chat, though. So with about an hour and 15, maybe about 75 minutes to go ahead of kickoff, we'll be shutting this down here shortly. I'll keep it open for another couple of minutes in case there are any last-second questions or thoughts about tonight's game, tomorrow night's game, the Sunday slate in general. But I think the marching orders have been pretty much shared at this point. I feel good about both starting running backs tonight. I feel good about Lamar Jackson specifically clearing his rushing prop. I think he's going to have to go above and beyond tonight for the Ravens to have a chance. I think he will. Whether that translates into a win or not is another conversation, but I do think Lamar hits his rushing yardage prop tonight and clears that 50-yard threshold on the ground. Mahomes is going to be Mahomes. Kelsey's going to be Kelsey. Rashee Rice should have a pretty strong performance tonight. And then with, obviously the most intriguing situation to keep an eye on is their first-round rookie, Xavier Worthy, and what, if anything, he gets involved in this evening. Should be fun. Should be a great game. two great teams, two of the AFC's best, both who will be angling to not just play in the AFC Championship game, but host it with the Super Bowl on the line later this season into the playoffs. These are two good teams. It should make for a really good game. And then, of course, how do the Ravens manage breaking in more than half of a new offensive line on the road in a hostile environment? I think that about does it for tonight. So, again, about 75 minutes to kickoff. I think that will do it, but I appreciate everybody coming in, hanging out, talking shop tonight ahead of NFL kickoff. It is back. Enjoy the game, enjoy your evening, however you're spending it. Hopefully your fantasy situation, whether it's season long or DFS or player props, whatever have you, goes your way. Let's win some money tonight if you're doing any DFS, and best of luck as your season, your fantasy season, and the NFL season at large kicks off for the 2024 season. Enjoy. I will be back Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern for Start Sit Help. I will see you guys then. Hopefully you can, you may consider membership opportunities with the channel. All of those details are in the first link in the description of this stream and all of the recent videos and streams on this channel. Thank you so much. Hey, E11, good to see you, man. Good luck to you as well. Good luck to everybody and whatever situation you have tonight. And enjoy the game. Thanks, everybody.